The Capitol lawn packed, people pouring into the rotunda. Some of the biggest protests we've ever seen happening today at the Capitol building in Lansing. And 24-hour News 8 political reporter Rick Albin kicks off our team coverage with a look at what's happening right now. Rick?
Well, I don't have solid numbers, but I got to tell you, just as an observer, this looks bigger than the crowd we had just 1 month ago. Thousands of people came by bus and by car, and they converged on the Capitol, and they're still here, and they're still chanting about this is our house, and this is what democracy looks like. They are angry, and they are loud. They don't like the idea of taxing pensions, cutting school funding, doing away with the earned income tax credit, what they see as an assault on unions. All of these things, they say, are being proposed by Governor Rick Snyder. And with that in mind, they also chant, "Recall Rick," referring to an effort to recall the governor. But for all of their numbers, organization, and decibels, will the lawmakers hear them? And if they do, will they listen? What impact do these demonstrators have on the legislators when they start considering some of these very controversial bills and budgets put forward by the governor?
Well, I think legislators listen, and I think the evidence is some changes already in the pension bills, and I think that shows that legislators listen to people, and so it'll be very interesting to see how the votes play out after this.
It's a noisy day here at the Capitol. What impact do these kind of demonstrations have on you as a legislator?
Well, they certainly have an impact. Some people have come up to my office to talk to me about this sort of thing, but honestly, I'm so busy working on my budget that the actual demonstrations don't have much of an impact on me personally, because I'm just doing so many things with so many other people.
It's going to be another rally tomorrow. It may have a different tone. We're told there may be actually people supporting some of the Snyder plan out here on the lawn. We know more protests are planned as we move through this process. But remember that pension tax we talked about yesterday in the compromise? That clears the way for a lot of budgets to start making their way through the appropriations committees as early as next week. Even though the legislature won't be in formal session, some of those committees are going to be meeting, which means that some of the final budgets could be on the floor in the House and Senate the week after that. And that moves Governor Snyder one step closer to getting his legislative and budget plans passed by his self-imposed deadline of May 30th. We're live in Lansing. I'm Rick Albin, 24-hour News 8.
Thanks, Rick. Among the protesters in Lansing, advocates for public education. They're there to be heard. The governor's budget proposal includes some deep cuts to education funding, leaving a lot of people worried about the future, both theirs and the students. 24-hour News 8's Tony Tagliavia continuing our live team coverage from the Capitol with this part of the story. Tony?
Good evening, Brian. At its peak, this crowd was estimated at about 4,500 people. As we've seen some people from trade unions leave, we've seen school teachers and their supporters come here after the school day. They included Delton Kellogg High School teacher we spoke with just a few moments ago.
We are one of the lowest funded districts in the state of Michigan, and we've been taking concessions in our contracts. We've been paying for some of our health insurance because we're a community.
Teacher Connie High says if there are more cuts that come down from the state, that will threaten programs like athletics, electives, lots of programs in her school district. They are concerns we've heard from teachers and administrators around the state. The governor's budget would mean that schools would have about $470 less per student next year compared with this year. For some districts, particularly urban districts, the numbers could be higher. When we saw protesters here earlier, before teachers and other school supporters got here, we heard from protesters who work at the Grand Rapids Home for Veterans who are worried about proposals to privatize some of the work that's done there. And we talked with an out-of-work bricklayer from Kalamazoo who says it's difficult to look for work right now, and he feels that the governor's proposal is giving all the benefits to business at the expense of the middle class and seniors.
We're being asked to pay for those breaks, and that just doesn't seem fair.
Now, we've been told that there could be a Tea Party rally here tomorrow that could have hundreds of people here, perhaps not as large of numbers as we've seen here today. We will be keeping an eye on that and have more for you tomorrow. Live at the Capitol in Lansing, Tony Tagliavia in 24-hour News 8.
Thank you, Tony. We're staying on top of this in Lansing tonight. If anything develops, we'll have the latest for you on woodtv.com. Also, check in for updates at 10 on WXSP and at 11 right here on Wood TV 8.